Hello all, welcome to the next session of the video lecture on storage area networks. So in this video session we'll continue the previous chapter. So we'll be discussing storage provisioning and implementation of intelligent storage systems. So the first topic that we are going to discuss is storage provisioning. Okay, storage provisioning is a process of assigning storage resources to the host based on capacity, availability and performance requirements of applications running on the host. It is a process of assigning the storage resources to the host based upon the capacity requirements. If there is a need to increase the capacity, or if there is a need to improve the availability, or if there is a need to improve the performance, in that case storage provisioning may be used to assign the storage resources to the host. There are two ways in which storage provisioning can be performed. So first way is called as traditional storage provisioning, and the second method is called as virtual storage provisioning. Let us first understand what do we mean by traditional storage provisioning. In traditional storage provisioning, physical disks are logically grouped together and the required RAID level is applied to form a set called as a RAID set. So physical disks are logically grouped together and the required RAID level is applied on these disks to form a RAID set. The number of drives in the RAID set and the RAID level determine the availability, capacity and the performance of the RAID set. So depending upon how many number of disk drives we have and which RAID level are we going to implement, so that determines the availability, capacity and the performance of the RAID set. It is highly recommended that the RAID be created or the RAID set be created from the drives of the same type, of the same speed and the same capacity to ensure the maximum usable capacity, reliability and consistency in performance. So it's highly recommended that the RAID set be created from the drives of the same type, the same speed and the same capacity to ensure maximum usable capacity, reliability and consistency in performance. RAID sets usually have large capacity because they combine the total capacity of individual drives in the set. So when compared to the individual disks, RAID set is a collection of multiple hard disk drives, so they have a very large capacity, which is the total capacity of the individual drives in a RAID set. Logical units are created from the RAID sets by partitioning the available capacity into smaller units. So the entire capacity can be sliced to form logical units by partitioning. These units are then assigned to the host based on their storage requirements. Logical units are spread across all the physical disks that belong to that set. So if a logical unit is created on a RAID set, that logical unit is not specific to one particular hard disk drive, it is spread across all the physical disks in a given RAID set. After this, the logical units are then assigned to the host based on the storage requirements. Each logical unit created from the RAID set is assigned a unique ID called a logical unit number or LUN. So every logical unit that is created from the RAID set is uniquely identified by a LUN or a logical unit number, that is a unique ID. Logical unit numbers hide the organization and composition of the RAID set from the host. The host will be abstracted, or the host will not have the information as to which type of RAID level is implemented on the physical disk or how many disks are present. That will be abstracted from the host. So LUNs hide the organization and composition of the RAID set from the host. LUNs created by traditional storage provisioning methods are also referred to as thick LUNs. Students, kindly remember this term, thick LUNs. It's one more term for the logical units created using traditional storage provisioning techniques. We use the term called as thick LUNs, thick logical unit numbers. Let us understand what is happening in this diagram here. As you can see, we have two hosts, host 1 and host 2, that are connected to an intelligent storage system. It's having the front end, the cache, back end, and the set of physical disks. Now on this physical disk, a RAID set is a particular RAID level is implemented, and using the disk in this RAID set, two logical units are created, whose logical unit numbers are LUN0 and LUN1. LUN0 is mapped to host 1 and LUN1 is mapped to host 2. So host 1 can access the data that is present only in LUN0. Similarly, host 2 can access the data that is present only in LUN1. That is how we can allocate particular LUN to a given host. So these LUNs will be distributed across, or it will be spread across all the disk drives as shown in this particular diagram. And it is not restricted to a particular hard disk drive. Whatever logical units that are created out of a RAID set, that will be spread across all the physical disks in a given RAID array. Let us discuss a new term called as LUN expansion. It's also called as a meta LUN. Meta LUN is a method to expand the logical unit numbers that require additional capacity or performance. Suppose there is a need to increase the storage capacity of a LUN. In that case, we use this meta LUN concept. A meta LUN can be created by combining two or more logical unit numbers. A meta LUN consists of a base logical unit number and one or more component LUNs. Meta LUNs can be implemented using two ways. It can be either created using concatenated technique or using stripe technique. So meta LUNs can be either concatenated or striped. Let us first try to understand what do we mean by concatenated meta LUN. Concatenated expansion simply adds additional capacity to the base logical unit number. In this expansion, the component LUNs are not required to be of the same capacity as the base LUN. The component LUN can be of some other capacity when compared to the base LUN. There is no requirement that the component LUN should also be of the same capacity as the base LUN. All LUNs in a concatenated meta LUN must be either protected or unprotected. Okay, when we are talking about protected, either implementation of parity technique or mirroring technique. When it is unprotected, it is implementation of RAID 0 level. So all LUNs in a concatenated meta LUN must be either protected or unprotected. RAID types within a meta LUN can be mixed. Within a meta LUN, you can have mixed RAID types. This diagram explains meta LUN. As we can see, we have a base LUN and a component LUN. The capacity of both these LUNs are combined to form one meta LUN, thereby providing an increased capacity. So this is concatenated meta LUN, where the component LUN need not be of the same capacity as that of the base LUN. The entire component LUN that we add will be the new additional capacity that we are going to add to form one meta LUN. The base LUN plus the component LUN will form one concatenated meta LUN in this scenario. The entire component LUN can be used for storing new data, or that can be treated as the increased capacity. Now let us discuss the next type of meta LUN called as a striped meta LUN. Striped expansion restripes the base LUN's data across the base LUN and the component LUNs. Unlike the concatenated meta LUNs, where we simply add a component LUN, here the base LUN's data is restriped across both the base LUN and the component LUNs. In striped expansions, all LUNs must be of the same capacity and the RAID level. This is one major difference between concatenated meta LUN and striped LUN. Striped meta LUN. In striped expansion, all LUNs must be of the same capacity and the RAID level. Striped expansion provides improved performance due to increased number of drives being striped. It provides improved performance because increased number of drives are being striped. All logical unit numbers in both concatenated and striped expansion must reside on the same disk drive type. That is, either all should be fiber channel or all should be ATA. So in both the concatenated meta LUN as well as the striped meta LUN, LUNs must reside on the same disk drive type. In both the meta LUNs, the data must reside, or the LUNs must reside on the same disk drive type. So this diagram represents meta LUN or striped meta LUN. We have a base LUN and we have a component LUN. As we can see, a new meta LUN is formed by restriping the data across both the base LUN as well as the component LUN. The increased capacity is the free space in the base LUN plus the free space in the component LUN. So that is how the data is restriped in striped meta LUN. Now that we have discussed traditional storage provisioning, which is also referred to as thick LUNs, let us proceed to something called as virtual storage provisioning. Virtual provisioning enables creating and presenting an LUN with more capacity than is physically allocated to it on the storage array. So we can create and present a LUN with more capacity than is physically allocated to it in the storage array. For example, if the space that is allocated is 10 GB, we can present it as 20 GB or 25 GB. We can present more than what is the physical storage that is allocated. The LUN created using virtual provisioning is called as thin LUN to distinguish it from traditional LUN. If we can recall, traditional storage provisioning or traditional LUN is called as thick LUNs, whereas the LUN created using virtual storage provisioning, we refer to them as thin LUN. Thin LUNs do not require physical storage to be completely allocated to them at the time they are created and presented to the host. The storage need not be completely allocated. The physical storage that is allocated need not be completely allocated to the thin LUNs when they are created and presented to the host. Physical storage is allocated to the host on demand from a shared pool of physical capacity. So whenever there is a need for actual physical storage, only then the physical storage will be allocated from a shared pool of physical capacity. A shared pool consists of physical disks. A shared pool in virtual provisioning is analogous to the RAID group, which is a collection of drives on which LUNs are created. Similar to a RAID group, a shared pool supports a single RAID protection level. However, unlike a RAID group, a shared pool might contain large number of drives. While compared to a RAID group, a shared pool used in virtual storage provisioning may contain much more number of drives compared to the normal RAID group. Shared pools can be homogeneous, that is, it can contain the hard disk drives of the same type or storage of the same type, or it can be heterogeneous, which can be a combination of different types of storage drive types or different types of drives, such as flash drives, fiber channel, SAS or SATA drives. So both is possible in case of virtual storage provisioning, where the shared pool can be either homogeneous or heterogeneous. Virtual provisioning enables more efficient allocation of storage to the host. This is one of the major benefit of implementing virtual storage provisioning, because the storage efficiency can be improved drastically. Virtual provisioning enables oversubscription, where more capacity is presented to the host than it is physically available on the storage array. So it enables something called as oversubscription, where the storage system can present more capacity than which is physically allocated to a particular host. Both shared pool and thin LUN can be expanded non-disruptively as the storage requirements of the host grow. So as the storage requirement of the host increases, so the storage capacity of the shared pool and the thin LUN can be expanded in a non-disruptive way without disrupting the ongoing IO operations. Multiple shared pools can be created within a storage array, and a shared pool may be created by multiple thin LUNs. Multiple shared pools can be created within a storage array. One storage array can consist of multiple shared pools, and one shared pool may be shared by multiple LUNs. Right? That is virtual storage provisioning. Let us look at the diagram here, which represents virtual storage provisioning. As we can see, we have a shared storage pool, which is also referred to as thin pool, which consists of large number of disk drives. So we have 3 hosts here. Every host is allocated, or every host is mapped to 10 TB of thin LUN, as we can see. But physical allocation is, for the first host only 3 TB is allocated. For the second host only 4 TB is allocated. For the third host only 3 TB is allocated. But the storage system presents that 10 TB is allocated to each of these hosts. That is the specialty of virtual storage provisioning. This is known as oversubscription, presenting more storage to the host than what is actually physically allocated. Okay, so we have a large shared storage pool, large collection of disk drives, which may be homogeneous or heterogeneous disk drives. So we are presenting the thin LUNs represent more than what is physically allocated, more than what is the physical storage space that is allocated. That is the specialty of virtual storage provisioning. Let us have a comparison between the traditional and virtual storage provisioning. On the left hand side, we have the traditional storage provisioning. So suppose there are three thick LUNs, LUN1, LUN2 and LUN3. So out of the 2 TB storage space that is available, so 3 LUNs are thick LUNs are created, each of 500 GB, 550 GB and 800 GB respectively. Out of the 500 GB that is allocated to LUN1, only 100 GB will be used, whereas 400 GB will be unused. 400 GB that is allocated to a particular host will be unused capacity. Similarly, for the thick LUN2, out of 550 GB that is allocated, only 50 GB will be used and the remaining 500 GB will be unused capacity. Similarly, for the thick LUN3, out of 800 GB that was allocated to it, only 200 GB data will be used, only 200 GB data will be stored. The remaining 600 GB will be unused capacity. Now, if you compare the total unused capacity of the storage system, so that sums up to 1.5 TB. So 1.5 TB of data will be allocated unused capacity. That is allocated, but it will be unused. Only 150 GB will be available and 350 GB will contain the actual data. So 1.5 TB of storage space will be allocated but unused. So that is very inefficient way to manage a storage system. That is your traditional storage provisioning. Whereas let us consider a similar scenario where we are using thin LUNs or virtual storage provisioning. So out of the similar 2 TB storage space that is available, so for first thin LUN1, only 100 GB is allocated even though 500 GB is presented to the host. So for thin LUN2, even though 550 GB is presented to the host, only 50 GB is allocated physically. Similarly, for the thin LUN3, out of 800 GB that is present to the host, only 200 GB is physically allocated. So there is no scope for unused capacity in each of these LUNs. So further, if actual physical data is required, allocation is required, physical storage capacity is required, in that case physical storage will be allocated based on the on-demand policy. So if host requires more physical storage, so on demand the physical allocation will be done. So if you consider the total available capacity of the storage system, so still 1.65 TB of available capacity will be there, well compared to only 150 GB available capacity in case of traditional storage provisioning. So this comparison provides a conclusion that virtual storage provisioning enables very efficient usage of the storage space. Let us look at the use cases for thin and traditional LUNs. Thin LUNs or LUNs created using virtual storage provisioning technique are appropriate for applications that can tolerate performance variations. In some cases, performance improvement is perceived when using a thin LUN due to striping across large number of drives in a pool. So thin LUNs are most appropriate for applications that can tolerate performance variations. So in some cases, performance improvement is perceived when using a thin LUN due to striping across a large number of drives in a pool. Traditional LUNs are suited for applications that require predictable performance. Traditional LUNs provide full control for precise data placement and allow an administrator to create LUNs on different RAID groups if there is any workload contention. Organizations that are not highly concerned about storage space efficiency may still use traditional LUNs. So if the organizations are not highly concerned about the storage space efficiency, they can go for these traditional LUNs, or else if an organization is highly concerned about storage space efficiency, they can opt for thin LUNs. Both traditional and thin LUNs can coexist within the same storage array. Very interesting fact. So within one storage array, both the thick LUN as well as thin LUNs can be coexisting. Based on the requirement, an administrator may migrate data between thin and traditional LUNs. So there is also a possibility where the administrator can migrate the data between thin and thick LUNs. Let us look at one more term called as LUN masking or logical unit number masking. It is an access control mechanism. It is a process of masking LUNs from unauthorized access. It is implemented on storage arrays, storage group logical entity that contains one or more LUNs and one host. Okay, it is an access control mechanism. LUN masking is an access control mechanism. Let us try to understand what do you mean by LUN masking by looking at a diagram. As we can see in this diagram, two LUNs are created, LUN0 and LUN1, across a RAID set or across a set of physical disks. Now as we can see, host 1 is mapped to LUN0 and host 2 is mapped to LUN1. So if the storage system implements LUN masking, host 1 can access the data that is present only in LUN0. It cannot access the data from the other LUNs, that is LUN1. So all of the LUNs will be masked from host 1 except LUN0. Similarly, host 2 can access the data that is present only in LUN1 and not the other logical unit numbers. So this access control mechanism is called as LUN masking. Now let us look at the different intelligent storage system implementations. There are two types of implementation. First type of intelligent storage implementation is called as high-end storage systems. So these high-end storage systems are also referred to as active arrays. As we can see in this diagram, so there are multiple paths that are connecting the host to the storage array. The input outputs are serviced through all the available paths, hence the name active arrays. Following are the high-end array capabilities. It offers a large storage capacity. It also offers huge cache to service input outputs. It also offers fault tolerance, that is, it uses a fault tolerant architecture. It provides multiple front-end ports and supports different interface protocols. It offers high scalability, and it also provides the ability to handle large amounts of concurrent input outputs. It is specifically designed for large enterprises. So in high-end storage system, which is one type of intelligent storage system implementation, so I use a service through all the available paths. It is also referred to as an active arrays. So one more name for high-end storage system is active configuration or active arrays. The second type of intelligent storage system implementation is called as mid-range storage system, which is also called as active passive configuration or active passive arrays. As we can see in this diagram, hosts can perform IOs to the LUNs only through the active paths. Only one path between the host and the storage array will be active at a time. Other paths remain passive till the active path fails. Only if the active path fails, the passive path will become active. Mid-range array have two controllers, each with cache, RAID controllers and disk drive interfaces. So mid-range storage systems are designed for small and medium enterprises. It is less scalable when compared to high-end storage systems or high-end array. So it is specifically designed for small and medium enterprises. It is also referred to as active passive arrays because only one path will be active, using which the host can perform the IOs, the input outputs to the LUNs. The passive path becomes active only if the active path fails. So that is your mid-range storage systems. So with this, we have reached the end of this particular chapter. In this session, we discussed what is storage provisioning, two types of storage provisioning, that is traditional storage provisioning and virtual storage provisioning. What are the use cases for these two storage provisioning? What do you mean by thick LUNs? What do you mean by thin LUNs? So what do we mean by meta LUN? What is concatenated meta LUN? What do you mean by striped meta LUN? So what do you mean by LUN masking? And at the end, we discuss the different types of intelligent storage system implementation, that is high-end storage systems and mid-range storage systems. With this, we have finish or complete this particular chapter, intelligent storage systems. Thank you.